Welcome back to Elevation Perspective. My name is Mark, joined tonight with Dan Quinones and Frank Tropiano talking Mets. A little bit of a bummer to start Mets spring training. Francisco Lindor, our star shortstop, of course, he is going out with surgery on the handmade bone. He had it done today. It looks like it's going to be about 6 weeks or so. David Stern said repeatedly they're optimistic for opening day. It's not what you want right now. Dan, I think you're the more optimistic one right now, so I'll throw it to you first. How are you feeling right now?
And if there's a time for that to happen, it's now, right? 6 weeks before the season is when you get a 6 week injury. Lindor is not exactly known to be a fast starter anyway, so if it takes him a little bit to get going beginning of the season, it's kind of just a regular Lindor season, which usually ends up being pretty good. I read an article on MLB.com earlier. I want to quote this because I want to get it right. It was an article or a study from 2020, the American Journal of Sports Medicine. Of 261 professional baseball players, 81% returned at the same or higher level. Feels like a pretty big sample size and a pretty drastic number in that way. Sure, that leaves 19% of guys who regress, but if you're telling me better than 4 out of 5 guys are okay, then Lindor, a guy who will play through whatever and usually not really miss a beat, seems like he's not the kind of guy that would really struggle. On top of it, he's a switch hitter and it happened to his left hand. So it'll affect him more when he's batting right-handed, but we know statistically that's going to be a lot less often.
Mm-hmm.
So, all in all, I'm not as worried as most people would be.
All right, moving away from Lindor for right now because we don't really have any more information at this time to go off of. They made a few small moves over the last week or so. They brought in MJ Melendez and Brian Hudson. Brian Hudson, I'm actually kind of interested in. He's a funky lefty reliever. I think he makes sense as the second lefty on the opening day roster behind Brooks Raley until AJ Minter comes back. Frank, do you have any love for MJ Melendez as a player that you have any like this might work out, like any kind of excitement for?
Worth a shot. He was a high prospect at one point in time, right? Uh, uh, I remember the name. He was a big deal when he came up with Kansas City. I guess he kind of flamed out. I think we were talking about it the other day, right? We said he went 5 for 60 last year, or he had a 5 for 60 stretch. Not great, not what you want.
Yeah.
But you know what? I don't even know what kind of role he's going to get. It's not like it's something that's going to impact them in a huge way. Like if he's terrible, they're just going to cut ties, and if
Yeah.
he's surprisingly good and they help him reach his potential, maybe somebody sees something there that they can't. It's like a no risk move. Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, no, he's a lottery ticket. Like you said, former prospect, hits the ball hard. He provides some defensive versatility. He was a former catcher. He had decent numbers in the minors last year. He had 20 homers, 20 steals, but this kind of feels like we're grasping at straws to kind of talk about MJ Melendez. Dan, do you have any positive news here with him?
I feel like it's a low risk, high reward, and it's low risk because you can just kind of let him go. It's not like he's coming in with a big role. I like he can play both corner outfield spots. He's not going to be very good at them, but he's capable. It's not we have Juan Soto out there. Like we're not going to be shocked by how bad this guy is playing a corner outfield spot. Um, I like that he is technically a catcher. Like it gives you a little flexibility roster wise. Like let's say late game decision, you want a pinch run for one of your catchers. You don't have to be stranded knowing you only have one guy left. You actually have another guy that's been a capable major league catcher.
Yeah.
So how often will that come up? Probably not much, but at least it gives them another option. Like you said, he's been a guy that's hit the ball hard. His 3 years in the majors, he's always hit mid to high 20 doubles, high teens homers. Obviously, the averages, they've kind of gone the wrong direction, but he's a guy that hits the ball hard. He wasn't a nothing player. And last year, like we said, the what was it? It was like 5 for 60, 6 for 50, something like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's a really small sample size. It was a train wreck of a small sample size, but I don't think I think there's a chance for him to still have something there. And if there isn't, it's not going to hurt the Mets in any meaningful way.
Do you think this is the guy? Because I thought a couple of weeks back now, I was like, they have to get an outfielder here because of the situation they're in right now. We're trying out Beatty in the outfield. We're going to see if Carson Bench can do it, but we have to get some kind of fallback option that I think everyone believed would probably be Starling Marte. But is MJ Melendez that guy now? Is he going to be on this open day roster, be the fourth outfielder slash DH versus righties?
I kind of hope not. I mean,
Yeah,
I
me
do
too.
I do think he has the talent, like he's capable. Do I believe that he is going to do it is a totally different story. Um, you would like a better option. Like I'd probably rather Tyrone Taylor, even though you know what you're getting in the offense. You know that you're getting a really good defender. and with everything else in the lineup, I think I'd prefer that. Um, I don't want him to get that big of a role. I hope he's a guy that like when you throw him in there, he excels to the point that he kind of forces his hand and maybe you consider giving him a bigger role. I just don't hope it happens right out of the gate. Maybe if he has a huge spring training, then you can you can discuss that, but I wouldn't give him anything.
Frank, do you see any more moves up the Mets sleeve here as spring training opens up? Any more, maybe an outfield acquisition, a pitcher? Do you see anything else happening here?
I feel like they just added to their bullpen again, as you mentioned. I think they're actually decent at bullpen. I don't know. I feel like you never know at the bullpen, so it feels like they just stacked a bunch of arms and they're going to throw stuff out there and see what works, which is really what every major league team does, despite like 10 guys. You know what I mean? There's always that guy where it's like, oh, where did he come from? He's been in the league for 6 years and he pitched to a four, and now he's pitching to a 1.5. You know what I mean? Like, how did that happen? But that's literally every major league team. There's like 10 good quality relievers in the league, and then everything else is just figuring it out. In terms of the outfield, they probably could use someone. I don't know who that person would be. I know Soto loves Marte, and it would make a lot of sense. Otherwise, I don't even know who's left out there. I'm sure there are guys that have not settled yet.
So I jotted down a few names. No one's exciting, of course. We're in February. They're the outfield free agents, but Starling Marte, as we previously mentioned, Mike Talkman, Michael Conforto, Tommy Pham, and if Andrew McCutchen can play the outfield.
Yeah, I don't want anything to do with McCutchen, I think, at this point in his career. And that's not a knock on him. He's
He's
obviously
the
one
one
of
I
the
want the most.
I'd
look,
take
he
him
would
strictly for the vibes.
if
This would be the
but that,
coolest team ever.
I just like you what if he gets thrust into an everyday role? Can Andrew McCutchen go out there and like play for us every day? You know what
I
I
mean,
mean?
so much has to go wrong for him to get thrust into an
I
everyday
I
role.
understand, but you again, who are we talking about? We're the Mets, right? Like we
I
already
mean,
like
for
we
that to
we get
happen,
to we
you're
get to
talking.
day one of spring training, and Lindor's is going to be out until maybe the opening of the season, maybe past that, with an injury that doesn't heal the right way. You know what I mean? Like that's what we are. That's who
For
we
a
are.
player currently not on the roster to have an everyday role, you were talking about Beatty, Benj, Melendez, Tyrone Taylor,
Yeah,
Luis
everyone just
Robert,
failing miserably,
Juan
right?
Soto. There's like seven guys who have to go down for that to happen.
Yeah, I get it. I get what you're saying. Yeah, McCutcheon, I guess, would be like a cool like veteran leader. Conforto would be cool. The nostalgia. I don't know if he'd be any
Mhm.
good, but like he'd be cool. You know. They probably
I would have gave Conforto a deal over MJ Melendez.
they probably should just grab someone. You know what I mean? Like someone should probably like. Can we at least give a camp invite out to somebody? You know, like would those guys even take that? I don't know if they're like looking for something more solid. They should probably do something though in the outfield because it does feel like they're very thin out there right now.
So the hot rumor last week plus were the Pirates were apparently trying really hard on both Mark Vientos and Brett Beatty. I think we naturally kind of think about how does that match up? What can we do there? The Mets have been linked this offseason to both Bubba Chandler and Braxton Ashcraft. I think Bubba Chandler feels more like a pipe dream, but Braxton Ashcraft is a young, exciting, controllable starting pitcher. If we can bring him back for a Mark Vientos, I think that makes a lot of sense. But right now, you kind of look how this matches up, and the Pirates then got Marcell Ozuna. What do you guys think about this rumor?
If those were the returns, right? Like a young, controllable pitcher, either way, either one of them, it makes sense. I do think that there is a real avenue for the two of them to be fighting over at bats like they have been for the last 2 seasons, and I just don't think it's good for either of their production. So I always wanted one of them to be gone, not because I disliked either of them, just because I thought that they just get in each other's way. And right now, if Beatty is the outfielder, right? If Beatty's the right fielder, then that problem is fixed temporarily until Penge comes up, and they're gonna want him to be in the outfield with Soto and Robert, and then the problem happens again. So I don't know. I I feel like trading one of them is a good thing, but maybe I'm just making too much of that.
I've been seeing good reports on Vientos. This is spring training. This is when everything is sunshine and rainbows. You get excited again. He reports early. He's working out at first base with Polanco. He looks good. He looks athletic. He's smiling. Like I said, spring training. It's not real baseball yet, but you like to see that. Hopefully, he's taking this spring very seriously and he wants to win back a job. It's an exciting idea. Dan, what do you think?
Well, as soon as I saw the rumors, I was like, I guess, but I don't really see the fit. I didn't see the Pirates really meeting the asking price that the Mets would want anyway, because we know they don't want to just give either of these guys away just to
Mhm.
clear up room for the other one. Like the idea of like the Mets would be looking to get pitching in return, that almost feels like it would need another move to complement it, because you already have six starting pitchers. Tong, who is probably not far off. Um, I always thought this offseason, like maybe Peterson being on an expiring contract, they could use him to go and target something else and then bring in another pitcher, but that never ended up happening. So I don't know, something about the fit never really didn't make too much sense to me. So I wasn't really too surprised to see the Pirates go and sign Ozuna and go a different direction.
Yeah, both Peterson and Senga were in trade rumors throughout the offseason. Both did not get moved. They're still here. So that's fair. It definitely felt like for them to bring in another arm here, they would have to move one out. All right, we'll wrap up here with most exciting spring training storyline that we're really excited to follow. Frank, I'll let you go first here. Is there any bounce back, any position change? Is there any storyline here that you're really excited for the Mets?
I feel like there's not a lot that's up in the air with the team. We're obviously going to focus on Benj. I'm excited to see what he's got. I hope he breaks camp. I hope he makes it so that he they can't possibly send him to AAA at the start of the season. Sang is another guy that I'm interested in to see what happens during spring. They asked him today what his goal for spring training was, and his answer was to stay healthy. So I hope that he meets his goal and he stays healthy. And it's good that he can have a little bit fun with it and be self-aware. So yeah, so I think those are the two guys that I'm really focused in on. Obviously, we're not going to see a lot at Lindor. World Baseball Classic is going to take some of our guys away, but there's nothing that I think is going to like deeply impact the team past spring, except for whether or not Bench makes the team.
So I feel like everyone's talking about like all the new faces who came from outside the organization that are going to make an impact this year. This answer will probably come as no surprise coming from me. I'm excited for all the new faces coming from the minor leagues who have a chance to help this year. We've talked about Benj enough already this one episode. I've said it a bunch of times. I think Ryan Clifford's going to have an impact at some point this season. I think Dylan Ross could be a guy who could help them in the back end of the maybe not the back end of the pen, just somewhere in the pen. A guy who sits in the upper 90s, gets up to 102. I think he's a guy that could have a bigger impact than a lot of people are expecting. And who knows, maybe someone else who's in the minors just shoots their way up and kind of forces their hand. They've had so many guys just kind of make waves in the minor league system, like a Reimer, like the way Reimer has in the last year. So maybe there's another guy this year who's already in double A or in triple A who just kind of takes a jump that they weren't expecting. So I'm excited to see what some kids do.
Okay, I like both those answers. For me, I have two also. It's one, Bo Bichette. One, just seeing him. I'm really excited to see Bo Bichette in a Mets uniform playing, running around, learning third base, of course. I think that's an underrated, massive part about this team right now, where not underrated because it's being talked about, but if he's an average third baseman, that kind of changes everything. I think that could really unlock this team and really raise the ceiling. If he's really not great at third, I think that really complicates things. You probably have to make him kind of a DH of sorts with Beatty playing third. The roster gets a little bit complicated if Bo can't do it. So that's a pretty big X factor for me. And also Jonah Tong. I see Jonah Tong as he probably will start in AAA, but he's probably one injury away from joining this rotation. He obviously had one of the most incredible minor league seasons we've ever seen last year. He put on muscle. I saw him today holding his like kindergartner thing. It was really funny and cute because he looks like he's 15. But he put on muscle. He looks bigger. He looks stronger. So I'm really excited for Jonah Tong. I feel like he's still a guy that you can see at the top of this rotation with Nolan McLean next year, the year after that. So those two guys, I'm really excited to watch spring training games for.
I'm excited for Bo at third base because like his issues at shortstop is just not really having much range. Like no one's ever questioned his hands, and obviously third base, it's kind of more of a reactionary position. I'd like to think he has the tools to be a competent third baseman. If he's an average third baseman, even better.
Frank, did the Pete Alonso at Orioles camp videos reach your feed today?
Yeah, yeah. I felt I he laughed at us and I don't blame him. Like he has the ultimate pass to say whatever. Like I think he knows that the fans don't dislike him. You know what I mean? Like I think he knows that the fans wanted him back. But in my opinion, he has what he can say whatever he wants about the Mets organization, David Stearns, Steve Cohen, like he can say whatever he wants, and like no one can really say anything. Like Stearns could sit there and say we didn't want him, we think he's a bad defender, and that's fine. But he can also go and say I'm literally the franchise leader in home runs, and I'm 30, and they let me walk out the door, and that hurts. You know what I mean? Like he's like both sides can be right, you know. And it remain Pete's definitely right. It remains to be seen if Stearns is right, but he's put together a decent team, so I can't really get on Stearns right now.
And it
Um,
was harmless. It was Goofy Pete saying
it
womp
was.
womp. Like it wasn't like he took a
Yeah.
shot at the team or anything like that.
And he's always been like awkward like that. Like, oh,
Yes.
what do I say? Oh, womp womp. Okay. Like, I'm always gonna love Pete. And I hope that he mashes 60 home runs this year in Baltimore. I hope he's not gonna do that, but I hope that he has a great 5 years there. You know what I mean? Like, Baltimore's not a team. Like, it's not like he went to Atlanta or Philly. You know what I mean? Short of
Mhm.
Atlanta, Philly, the Dodgers, or the Yankees, I'll root for you if you go anywhere else. You know?
I think the
He got
only
his payday.
I think the only X-Men we're rooting against here is Eddie, right? We're
Yeah. I
good
mean,
with
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
we're good with Nemo and Pete.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
Eddie went to
Nemo's
Washington,
cool.
I don't even think I would have cared, and that's in the division. You know what I mean? He went to the Dodgers. We can't root for the Dodgers.
We'll wrap it up here where not really much of a we're just going to talk this through. So right now the Mets are kind of the heavy favorites in the National League East, which I didn't foresee that. I thought we were a playoff team for sure, but right now the Mets are plus 145 to win the East. Behind them is the Phillies plus 190. Then the Braves are plus 220 after the Schwellenbach injury news. Dan, what do you think about the Mets being pretty heavy favorites to win their division?
I guess it's kind of like which shoe drops first in this division because we've said it like it's kind of like a neck and neck and neck kind of race. So Schwellenbach being a like a serious injury starting on the 60 day, that's I guess that's the first shoe to drop. Zach Wheeler's not going to be ready. His ribs in his closet, so obviously that's a small factor in why the Phillies would be a little further behind. And Lindor's injury being something where you're optimistic he'll be ready by game one. Like that's obviously not going to kill your odds, especially for a guy like I said before. He's always a slow starter. If it takes him a little extra to get going to start this season, it's just going to be like every other Lindor season, which usually ends up going pretty well anyway. So I see why the Mets would be the favorite right now. I don't, they're not a lock by any means because, like we've said, it's the Mets. Anything can go wrong. It makes sense to me with the Schwellenbach news.
Frank, 90.5 wins.
I'm gonna take. That's so hard.
It's a
That's
good
such like a.
number. That's
It's
a really
such
good
a good
number.
number because honestly, if you would have asked me straight up, I think I would have said 90. So technically, I'm taking the under, but I'm taking it like the literal half
It's a
game
good
of the under.
under.
I look at the team and I love all of the players individually, but like I was saying before, a ton of new faces. We've seen it in sports. We've seen it in baseball. We've seen it in football. We've seen it in basketball, where they put together these teams of a bunch of really good, great players, and it just doesn't work. So I can't sit here and say that it's a lock. I like 90 games. I think it takes them a little longer to get going. Lindor's hurt. He'll be his typical slow start anyway. I think it takes him a little while to gel. I hope that by August we're talking about them being the team that it has the only chance against the Dodgers. I think it's going to be a slow maturation, and that's fine because I think the last two seasons I can remember where we got to the middle of June as the powerhouse team, it's come back and completely blown up in our faces. So I'm fine with it taking a long time. Baseball's a long process, it's 162 games. So I hope that they work their way up and they get there.
I feel very, very similar to the start of what you were saying, your explanation, Frank. If you ask me, I would say they're a 90 win guaranteed playoff team, in my opinion, right now. I don't think they're a lock by any means to win the East. I can see both the Phillies and the Braves being better, but I do believe wholeheartedly this is a playoff team.
I don't think that it's going to blow up the way the last few seasons have, although, injuries and like I said, sometimes it just doesn't gel. And so that'll worry you. The worry is that we have not seen this team together before. You know what I mean, right? We haven't seen these guys together before. And for whatever reason, if it just doesn't work, guess what? They gave up everyone short-term contracts and they get to try again. So that's great. But I don't think that they're going to falter out of the playoffs. If the mark is 83 games, 83 games it was last year, right? To make the playoffs.
Mhm.
I think we get to 83 games. If Vegas is projecting us to be 90, I feel confident about 83 or 91, whatever we want to call that.
I mean, I guess I have to be the optimist in the room and just take the over. That is a really good number though, 90 and a half.
It's
That's
really
like
good.
it's
Well, Mark didn't say
really
he was taking the over or the under.
I didn't really lock into it, but like I said, kind of what you were saying in the beginning, Frank, I would say this is a 90 win team.
Yeah.
So
are,
listen,
are
all
you
that
locking
takes,
into the under?
I'll take the over. I'm not gonna take the under ever. It's the Mets, it's me. But with that being said, like I don't feel great about it. I wouldn't take the division. Plus 145 is not good enough value to take the division here, but I'd rather take 91 wins than the division.
Can agree with that.
All right, boys. I think that's gonna do it for us. Anything else?
Go Mets.
All right, let's stay
Hard to
healthy.
top that.
Let's stay healthy and let's go Mets.
LGM.